Hey everybody! I want to talk to you a little bit today about the key attributes of a virtual assistant, what you kind of need to get started, so that you know if virtual assisting is right for you or maybe it's not right for you and you're not in a place in your life where you can really do it right now. I am so passionate about that pretty much everybody can get started as a virtual assistant. And it's because I've been doing this a really long time, number one, but also because there's like no barrier to entry. There's such a low barrier to entry. I'm going to go over what those little barriers kind of are today, but you don't need a degree, you don't need tons of experience, you don't need this like huge portfolio of all these projects that you've worked on before. You don't. There's all kinds of skills that you can utilize right now to get started ASAP, earning a real income online as a virtual assistant. I'm Esther. I am the CEO and founder of Virtual Assistant Internship. I've been working online for 6 years. I started as a virtual assistant and I shifted and expanded into running my own virtual agency with a team of 12, and I got it to 6 figures. And I now have helped hundreds of other women start their online career as a virtual assistant too. I teach the top requested skills in my program called 90 Day VA. You might have heard about it. If you're curious after or before or whenever watching this video and you're wanting to learn a little bit more about virtual assisting and you haven't taken my free class yet, I highly recommend that you do that. It's going to answer all of the other questions that are going to come up that I'm not answering in this right now. It's called How to Work from Anywhere as a Virtual Assistant. So I'll put the link to enroll in the description, in the comments, in the notes, whatever, so that you can have access to that. Okay, so what are some of the kind of prerequisites or requirements to being a virtual assistant? And let's make sure that it's right for you and where you're at in your life right now and what your goals are, okay? So first of all, the kind of biggest trait that people look for in hiring a virtual assistant, and you'll know if this is you or not, is if you are self-directed and if you are a figure-outer, okay? And that's honestly gonna go and be true for all online jobs. There's gonna be very few that don't require you to be self-directed and a figure-outer. Do you wanna know why? Because you're not sitting in an office with a boss that's walking around and looking at your stuff to make sure you're doing it right. You're not working at Starbucks where there's a team shift lead there and he's like watching you to make sure everything's getting done. That's not how it works. Everything is online. So you have to be able to be really self-directed and really on top of your game so that you can be getting the stuff done that you need to be getting done, okay? So you don't have anybody who's like nagging you and telling you to do stuff. You just need to get your stuff done. And you also have to be somebody who, oh, hey, I don't know where that document is, but I'm gonna figure it out before I just run to my boss and ask them. Because your business owners are really, really busy. And if we do that all day long, they're just gonna be answering your questions. And then there's no point to them even hiring you because you're not saving them any time. So you have to be someone who can proactively figure things out, jump in and get on top of stuff. So someone who's self-directed and someone who is like what Daya, my project manager, likes to call a figure-outer. Totally true. Whether it's for finding the document or accomplishing the task that you're supposed to accomplish. Like you might be asked, hey, can you jump in and do some video editing? And you're like, I don't know how to video edit. I've never done that before. But you know how to go on YouTube, look it up, you know how to figure it out. You can spend a couple more hours on it than you would next time, but for the first time you're able to figure out. That's the kind of people that make great virtual assistants, right? So the next thing that you need is you need at least a basic working laptop or desktop that is yours and only yours, and you need some access to some good quality Wi-Fi. So unfortunately, this doesn't really work out if you're like borrowing your mom's laptop and you only have access to it 2 days a week, or like you only have this desktop and it's falling apart and it's not really great. Like that's not gonna work. It's also not gonna work. I know my in-laws live way far out in the country and I can't work when I go and visit them because the Wi-Fi is like satellite based or something and it's just not very good and I can't rely on it because they only buy certain gigabytes or something. So when I go visit, I actually have to go and work at co-work spaces, or I just plan to kind of take that time pretty much off. Like I can just do some light stuff. So if you are living way out somewhere that doesn't have good Wi-Fi, or if you are stuck with an old crappy laptop, then you're gonna want to upgrade that before you pursue the virtual assistant lifestyle. I mean, like Wi-Fi is available everywhere now, so it might just be a matter of like really upping your gigs that you get for if you're living outside in the country. That doesn't apply to a lot of people anymore, I know. And then the computer situation, like we get a lot of questions about like, which one is the best one? It doesn't really matter. The only things that matter are that it can't be like an iPad or like a Surface where it's primarily screen-based and touch screen. It has to have a keyboard and it has to have a mouse. And a lot of times people actually get external mouses. I don't know what the correct term for that is, but you know what I mean. They actually get an external one because your hand will kind of start to cramp when you're doing stuff that's, you might just do some really light graphic design as a VA, really easy. Don't stress out that you're like, I'm not a graphic designer. You might just do some really light stuff with some free tools online. And it's like easier to manipulate when you have a proper mouse. And so we just, like that's a basic requirement for us is you cannot start pursuing this lifestyle if you like just have an iPad. It just doesn't work. It's not gonna work. So so good quality laptop, good quality Wi-Fi, and then you also just need some basic computer and tech skills. So besides just turning it on, you need to know how to use the Microsoft Office suite. The basics are fine to get started. The more you know, the better, but Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, they teach all this stuff pretty much in all high schools now, and that's enough knowledge to be able to like go. If you know the Google suite in terms of they have their own version of slides, documents, and Excel, it's pretty much the same. That's great too. If you know how to email and you know how to professionally like write something. I'm not talking like, I'm gonna be a copywriter for an article. I just mean that if you're to write an email to someone, you can sound professional and you're not gonna have grammar errors. You're not gonna have like slang in there and shortening words to like LOL, like you know how to actually write properly so that whether if you're doing it in a business type of environment, even if it's something more casual that you're talking about, like you know how to have that kind of, eloquence. I don't know if is eloquence the right word? I think so. Okay. And then tech skills, I think I went through that. Really, it's just Google email, Microsoft Office. That's pretty much it. Everything else you can learn on the job, or we teach in a program like 90 Day VA, so you can learn. Not hard. Most people don't know that stuff beforehand, so it's not like you're ages behind. Like, do you know, like most people don't know what Asana is, but people in the virtual assistant world, we all use Asana all the time. So anybody who's gonna shift into this world is gonna have to learn it at some point. It's not like we're born knowing things, All right, so then the last thing is, and we get this question a lot too, that's really important, and I need you to really assess yourself and decide if this really will make sense for you. You need to be able to have space to actually do the work. I have a lot of moms primarily that are like, I just had my newborn baby. Can I start being a VA? And I'm like, don't you want to sleep? This doesn't seem like the right time to really be jumping into this like new career. You know what I'm saying? So you need, and then maybe they can work it out. Maybe they're like, hey, my husband, I'm losing my mind. I'm bored. My husband is home in the evenings and I would love to be able to do something just 2 or 3 hours a day that's going to give me a break from being mom and do something else and that's going to help me contribute to the family, right? Okay, but do you see how that's totally different than, can I just like squeeze in some work while the baby's napping and I haven't slept in 2 months? Like it's totally a different thing because you made a plan and you have a support system and they're on the same page as you. They know that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evenings, mom's gonna take a break from baby duty and she's gonna do some work and that's great. And I gotta really make sure I get enough sleep because those are my little like working hours. See what I'm saying? So that's what you need, kind of a plan. You also have to be realistic that like just because you have 5 children doesn't mean that you can just kind of like hop on the computer during nap time. Like you don't actually necessarily have downtime. And if you do, or you think you could, again, you have to have a plan. So if you have a whole bunch of kids and you're like, I'm so passionate about homeschooling and staying home with my kids, I don't want to go back to work, but I'd love to be able to do something. Get it, got it, let's do that. But you need to find something that has flexible time. So don't go applying to jobs that are Monday through Friday online, 40 hours a week. That's not gonna work for you, right? You're like, your time is kind of everywhere. You have to apply for things that have flexible time. The tasks are due flexibly. They don't care if you're working in the middle of the night or during the day. Those jobs totally exist. It's actually the norm. They don't care when you're doing it as long as you're getting it done, right? That's what's going to work for your lifestyle. Then you also need to again, make a plan with your kids, your husband. So this is a perfect example. One of our first VAs who went through my program, she had 2 small children under the age of 5. And she made an arrangement with her husband that Monday through Thursday from 2 p.m. and onwards, he was home. And that was her time to take client meetings, take business meetings, take calls with her company, whatever she was doing, and to have quiet, focused work time. It was like from 2 to 5. And I hired her, and me as the person working with her, I knew that was the time I could expect responses from her, phone calls from her. I was going to hear back from her during those specific times. So that's what I mean. And her kids knew that mommy's working and it's time for me to like go entertain myself or hang out with daddy and ask daddy questions. So it's not like, oh, I have kids, I can't work from home, or, oh, I have kids, I can fill up my schedule working from home. Awesome. It's really a personal thing, and making sure that it's right for the time that you're in your life. Because sometimes your kids are a baby and you need to be 100% focused on them, and you could really only pick up 5 hours a week because that's where your life is right now. Let's just be real about it, you know? And then other times you're like, my kids are all a little bit older, they're pretty much self-directed all day. I honestly could do 5 to 8 hours a day easily. And my husband, he's home in the evening, so even if it's a busy day, I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's at a different spot. There's no black and white answer. So you need to figure out what's right for you, but you just have to know that you have to create space to get the work done. Because there's going to be work, and it's going to have timelines and deadlines and like things that you're going to be responsible for, and you can't just drop the ball because the baby got sick. That's not how it works. You have to have a plan in place, just like any other job. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for you. And again, if you're interested in launching your virtual assistant career, if you're like, ooh, check, listening through this little mini class, and this is sounding really attractive to you, I really encourage you to take the next step and take my free class if you haven't already. And if 90-Day VA sounds really attractive to you too, I'm gonna pop both links down there, so don't worry, you can just check out which one you want. You can take the free class with more information about how to work online, like how to get started right away, what virtual assistants are actually freaking doing, because maybe you keep hearing this and you're like, but what is a VA exactly? What kinds of people hire them, what they pay, all that stuff I go over in the free class, and how to get started right away. And then if you already have been listening and you're like, I'm ready, I want to do this makes sense for me, then I encourage you to sign up for 90-Day VA right away. We have enrollment times throughout the year, and you can grab your spot. Again, I've helped at the time of this recording, over 400 women, I'm so excited to say that, work online and start their own virtual assistant career. So there's no reason you can't too. We'd love to see you in there, and I hope that this was helpful. If it was, share it with a friend, leave us some comments, let me know your questions. I'll pop back in here later and answer them.